Welcome back to digital class, and now we are looking at PSLE last minute revision for set number H. And now we are focusing on the first question, which is from Nanhua paper 1 question 12. Now this question here says that Mrs. Sandra baked either 90 big cupcakes or 150 small cupcakes with the same amount of ingredient. Now this statement basically actually gives you a very important point, which is 90 big cupcakes is actually equal to 150 small cupcakes. Okay, now here says that after baking 60 big cupcakes, what is the maximum number of small cupcakes she can bake with the remaining ingredient? Now, what I know is after baking 60 big cupcakes, now I want to know that whether these 60 big cupcakes is actually equivalent to how many small cupcakes. So what I need to do is to find 60b is equal to what? So in this case, I know that I'm supposed to use 150 divide by 90 to find one big cupcake is equal to what? Then I times 60. Then with that calculation, you should be able to find it's actually equal to 100 small cupcakes. Now you see, I actually able to bake 100 small cupcakes. Now I have already baked 100 small cupcakes equivalent to 60 big cupcakes. Now, which means that now I'm actually left with 50 small cupcakes. And in this case will be option number 2. Option number 2. Okay. Now, this question, honestly speaking, is a very, very common question. So you are supposed to make sure that you know how to solve this. Okay. Now, with that, let's move on to our second question in this paper, which is from MGS paper 2, question number 4. Now, here says that 1/6 of rectangle PQRS and 2/5 of triangle QTU is shaded. So now, first thing, let's try to look at it. Triangle PQRS, it looks like this. And triangle QTU, it looks like this. And I know a part of them are being shaded. And now you can see these two shapes, actually they are overlapped, and the part where they overlap is actually shaded. Now, my students, you should know I have already mentioned many times, when two shapes they are overlap, and the part where they overlap, it's supposed to be the same area. It's supposed to be the same area, which means that this one and these two are actually supposed to be the same, but they are not the same. So you are supposed to make it the same by looking for LCM. So what is the LCM of 1 and 2? In this case, is 2. So you times 2, you times 2. So you know that 2 out of 12 of the rectangle and 2 out of 5 of the triangle is actually shaded. Now, I know that this shaded part is 2 unit. Let me just quickly draw here 2 unit. 2 unit. And can I say this part is actually 12 unit? Now, a lot of students will make this mistake by putting here 12, but that's actually wrong. Why? Because this 2 is a shaded part, and this 12 represent the rectangle. And that includes the 2 unit here. So the rectangle is 12. So here will be 12 minus 2, 10 instead. And the same thing, the whole triangle is 5. And here is 2, then here will be 3. And in this case, the question asks, what percentage of the figure is shaded? So the shaded part I know is 2 unit. And the total figure will be 10 plus 2 plus 3. So it will be 2 out of 15. We are not yet done, but just a quick reminder that a lot of the students probably will make this mistake. This is a mistake, where a lot of students will make. Probably you will do 2 over 12 plus 5. You just add the 12 here and add the 5 here. Then what is wrong with this? What is wrong with this? Then you get 2 over 17, right? This is actually wrong because you are calculating the overlapping part which is here and here twice. But here I overlap, so I only counted it as one. Okay, once. That's why it is wrong. Okay, so just a kind reminder, please make sure you take note of this. This is the one correct. This is the one that a lot of students will do wrongly. So now you are supposed to convert this into percentage, and you know you are supposed to do over 15 times 100%. Again, just take note that the percent are not supposed to be put in your calculator because you want it to be remain here. Okay, get your calculator, you press, you're supposed to get 13.33333, or it's best that you write 13.1 over 3%. Okay, so that will be the question's solution. Okay, so for my students, you're supposed to know this quite well because we've been practicing this in our prelim, our mock exam, and also in our normal practices. Okay, let's move on to our next question. Our next question is again from MGS, but this question will be slightly more a bit difficult because this is actually a paper 2 question 17 question, okay, which is expected to be a bit harder. Now, this question here says that Mr. Leong used three wooden planks A, B, and C to build a shelf as shown below. The length of plank A is 5 over 11 of the length of B, and the length of plank C is 1 over 2 or half of the total length of A and B. Now, let's try to solve the first part first, okay? Let me just zoom out a bit so we can see more clearly. Now, I would suggest to solve this whole thing here, okay? Now, this whole thing here tells us that A to B. Now, again, A is 5 over 11 of B. So I know this 5 belongs to this A. This 11 belongs to this B. So here is 5. Here is 11. And the length of C, now I have another C here, is half. Is half of the total of length A and B. So if here is 1, here will be 2. But 5 plus 11 is what? 5 plus 11 is actually 16. But here is 2. Eh? These two are supposed to be the same, but they're not the same. So you're supposed to make it the same by looking for our C. Yeah. So 2, I suppose to times 8. I times 8. So I now know that it's supposed to be 5, 11, 8. That would be the real ratios that we have for A, B, and C. Okay, so let's just do a quick one. So let's just quickly move this. I'll be basically moving this down here. So it will help us to save some space. Okay, so 5, 11, 8. Now, but looking for this doesn't solve the main question. The main question here is find the value of n, which is here, which is here. But what I kind of know is that this A represent 5 unit. This B represent 11 unit, and this C represent 8 unit. Now, interestingly, you should be able to see if I want to look for n, what I can do is I can use 5 unit minus 46. Does it make sense? N is 5 unit minus 46. 5 unit minus 46. Okay, at the same time, this n, I actually can use what? 11 unit minus 136. Again, I repeat, 11 unit minus 136. They're referring to n also, right? Which means that 11 unit minus 136. That basically tells you that these two are actually supposed to be the same. Because what? Because both of them refer as n. So with that, I can solve it. 5u, 11u. I'll move this 5u here. I move this minus 136 here. So in this case, it will become 136. Why? Because minus 136 or negative 136, move here is supposed to be positive. Minus 46, because it's still the same place, 11 unit plus 5u become minus 5u. So it will be equal to 90, 6 unit, and 1 unit will be equal to what? 90 divided by 6, which is 15. Okay, again, these two both refer to what? N. That's why they are the same. And now I know 5 unit now is equal to, 1 unit is equal to 15. Then I will be able to find out 5 unit is equal to what, right? 5 unit will be equal to 15 times 5, which is equal to 75. And now if I know here is 75 cm, I know here is 46 cm, then I will be able to find out N is equal to what? And that will be 75 minus 46, and that gives me 29 in cm. And I'm done with part A. Okay, I'm done with part A. Kind of easy or kind of difficult? That ups to your decision to what do you think lah? Okay. Now, feel free to pause here to take a while to digest what I've just said. But just to share a slightly different method where, not different, but some of you that are a bit better or good with algebra, probably you would prefer, or well, probably this is the first thing that come to your mind. Okay, let me just write here advance a bit. Some of you that probably prefer algebra, you will say this: n plus 46, n plus 46 is actually 5 unit, right? N is 5 unit. And n plus 136, n plus 136 is actually equal to 11. So some of you that prefer algebra, you probably will do this. Okay, because n plus 46 is 5 and 136 is 11. Then you'll be cross multiplying. And if you cross multiply, it will become 11n plus 506 equal to 5n plus 680. Then you move, you get 6n, sorry, not you, 6n equal to 174, and you get n is equal to 29. Yeah, that is also another way that some of you that are a bit advanced in algebra can do. Okay, anyway, it's the same thing, just that my step in this case will be a bit longer compared to this. Okay, anyway, let's move on to B. B, the questions is actually asking, what is the width of the shaft? Width of the shaft, if you look carefully in this diagram, is from here up to here. Okay, now let me just quickly draw it here like this. Then I have like here. Then I have like here. Correct, that's basically what I have, right? Now, if you look carefully, here is 46, right? cm. And you see, 136 is actually this, the meter space at the NCM, correct? So I actually, instead of putting here, I actually can put here. Means that from here up to here is actually 136 cm. So this part, I move it to, shift it to here. Then what I can see is here will be what? 8 unit. Again, I know that 1 unit is equal to what? 15. So 1 unit is equal to 15. 8 unit will be equal to 15 times 8, and I will get 120. So I know here is 120 cm. And in order for me to look for the width, I'll just 46 plus 136 plus 120. And now again, my final answer is 302 in cm. Oh, question number B. Okay, so I think this is a very interesting question. I'm not sure whether how is it difficult to you when you first look at this question. But yes, definitely is an interesting question to look at. Okay, again, take your time to rest a bit before you move on. And if you're good, then let's move on to the next question, which is from ACSJ, paper 2, question number 9. Okay, let's zoom in a bit. Uh, okay, now this question here says that a rectangular piece of paper, ADCG was folded into a shape as shown. G is equal to x cm, GF is equal to 12 cm, and DE is equal to 3 cm. So basically everything is up here. And the question says that find the perimeter of the rectangular piece of paper ADCG in terms of x. Give your answer in the simplest form. Now, when you see the word in terms of x, basically it's reminding you that your final answer must have this x. Again, I repeat, final answer must have x inside. Okay, whether it's x plus 1, x plus 2, something like this, but must have an x. And the questions are very kind. They remind you that please give in the simplest form. Means that you must simplify it. Okay. Now let's look at this question. I know if I unfold it, probably it will be like this, right? And you must understand when I fold it, the angles, the length, it will still be the same. Means that if here 3 cm, here will be 3 cm. If here is x, here will be x. And can you see here's 3, right? So here's 3. And if here, let me just quickly draw it. If here is x, here is x. If here is 3, here's 3. And here is x plus 3, then here will also be what? X plus 3. And if I were to transfer everything up here to before folding, here will be x cm, here will be 12, here will be x plus 3. And do I need to go and find what is up here? No need, right? Because everything is here already. Here's x, here's 12 plus x plus 3. I just need to add them together and I times 2. Okay? So x plus 12 plus x plus 3, x plus x, 2x, 12 plus 3, 15. And because I want to find perimeter, right? Here is 2x plus 15. If I want to find here also, I'll times 2. So there will be 2 times 2x plus 15, and that will be equivalent to 4x plus 30. Okay, so the final answer here will be 4x plus 30. Don't forget the word parenthesis and cm. Okay, just in case some of you that not really sure what I'm trying to look right here. Teacher, I thought it's 4x plus 15. Why become 4x plus 30? Just remember, I have two set of 2x plus 15. Example, let me just draw here. If I say I have two sets of 2x plus 15, then it will be 2x plus 15, 2x plus 15. Then if you add together, then that will be 4x plus 30, right? That's why this 2 is actually multiplying here and here. Okay? So just in case that you're a bit confused with what I'm trying to explain here. Now let's move on to look at question B. Question B here says that find the area of the rectangle BEF when x is equal to 4 cm. So let me just write here. I want to find BEF when x is equal to 4 cm. So BEF basically is this small rectangle, a triangle, sorry. Let me just highlight here. Here. And here, like this, right? I know here is x cm, but what is here? Again, here, before folding, is actually here. And here must be the same. So I know here is x cm also. So since I know it is actually 4 cm, let me just put here 4 cm, 4 cm. Easier, right? So that will be half times 4 times 4. Simplify, that will be 4 times 2, and the final answer will be 8. Okay, so when you write the answer, it will be 8 cm square. And that's for question number B. Okay, very simple, it's not difficult, but it's worth trying. Okay, and I think we have come to our last question for the video. Yes, and the last video is actually from, what's it? Paper 2, question number 17. So again, we have another question 17 here. That'll be a bit more interesting. So let's look at this together. Now, Eunice packed two types of books into four identical shelves. So you can see I have two types of books, big and small book, and a shelf W, X, Y, Z. A big book had a thickness of 9 cm. So as you can see, 9 cm for big book. And a small book had a thickness of 5 cm. 5 cm. Now, the four shelves were stacked on top of one another as shown in the figure 2. So as you can see, W, X, Y, Z. W, X, Y, Z. Now, the questions say the books were packed next to one another without any gaps. Without any gaps. Now, shelf W were packed with the greatest number of big books, leaving a 3 cm gap. So it means that I packed all the big books nicely, but unfortunately, I have a small 3 cm gap here. Shelf X were packed from end to end with the greatest number of small books. And interestingly, I do not have any gaps here. Figure 3 shows the books in shelf W and X. Now, what I'm discussing here is only W and X, nothing involved Y and Z. Okay? Now, and let's look at what's the question. The question here, or I haven't said, but we are given another tip say that the number of small books in shelf X was 11 more than the number of big books in shelf W. Okay? And question A asks, what was the length of shelf X? Length of shelf X. Okay, so as you can see, the question is here, length of shelf X. But probably is something is very clear is that the length of shelf X basically it's the same as what? W, Y, and Z, right? Because all are the same, okay? But how do we find here which is the length? So for my students, I think these questions will be a very, very familiar question because this is very alike with my paper 1 questions 15 in your booklet A. Whereas I say that this is the length of, you are supposed to find the length of the room where you have the heart shape and also some photos hanging there, one from the front, one from the back, and you're supposed to look for it, right? And it's a very similar concept here, okay? Remember, the big books is actually we get 9 cm, small book 5 cm, okay? So that means that here 9 cm, here 5 cm. Now, I can actually assume, let me just assume that U is actually the number of big books. Now, I don't know how many books here, but I know each big book is 9 cm. So what I can say is from here up to here is actually 9 unit. Does it make sense? 9 unit, right? But if I want to find the length of the shelf, I need to add another 3 cm gap because here's 3 cm. So I can say that the length of the shelf is actually 9 unit plus 3. Make sense? That would be the length of the shelf W. But of course, it's also the length of the shelf lah. Now, if I want to find how many small books here I have, what would you say? Probably you will say the number of big books is what? U, right? But I have what? I have 11 small books more than the big books. So it means that the number of small book is U plus 11. Makes sense, right? Makes sense, right? Because I have U big books, 11 more than the big books, so U plus 11. And I know this is the number of small books, and I know each small books have a 5 cm gap. So 5 cm gap. And I know this is the length of shaft of W, this is the length of shaft of X, and they are actually the same. Correct. And again, it's a very interesting idea here. So I know what 9 unit plus 3 is equal to what? 5 unit plus 55. Again, you should remember just now what I have explained. This actually times into both of the bracket because of 5 sets of U plus 11, 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 U plus 11. So add together is 5 unit plus 55. Okay. And as usual, let's move the unit together and the numbers together. So there'll be 9 unit minus 5 unit equal to 55 minus 3. So 4 unit is equal to 52 and 1 unit is equal to 13. So, I mean, if the question was asked how many big books, then that's really the answer because 1 U is equal to 13. But the question asked for the length of the shelf. Okay, this is the question. And I know what? I know that these represent the length of the shaft. These also represent the length of the shaft. So you can choose either one, then you just put the U inside. So in this case, I can put 9U plus 3 is equal to what? 9 times 13 plus 3. And that will be equal to 120 cm. And we are done for question number 8. Okay, kind of simple, not difficult, but definitely is something that you should take note because it's kind of a very familiar concept, just that it is not that obvious. Okay, but because you must get the deep structure of the questions, regardless of the surface structure. Because I can change this question to be a just like what I say in my prelim question about hanging something, it will still be the same with the same idea here. Okay, so let's look at our next part of the question. The next part of questions is B. Okay, B. Now, here says that Eunice packed a total of 36 big and small books in the shelf Y and Z. Now, we talked about W and X just now. Now it's talking about Y and Z. The books were packed from end to end in each shelf without any gaps as shown in figure 4. How many big books were packed in shelf Y and Z? Now, let's just recap some of the ideas, okay? I have big books, and the big books is 9 cm. This is what I know. And I know there's a small book, and the small book is 5 cm. And I found that the length of the shelf here is 120 cm. And now I'm asking, how many big books were packed in shelf Y and Z when I know that there are 36 big and small books? Wow, when you look at this, the first thing is, what is this? It seems like it doesn't have enough information here. But again, I actually kind of reminded you before in our questions, when you see the six big and small books where they didn't mention individually, but they are mentioning the total. And this is actually a very likely questions about the proportion concept. Example like 20 cent and 10 cent, which is something that we have discussed in our set number 8. And this usually solved with Pareto method. Okay, now first thing let's find Y to Z actually how many, what will be the length that's enough to put the books? Y is 120, Z is 120, so add together there will be 240 cm. So that will be the total length that we can put our books here, okay? And now we are supposed to solve using our table. Again, T stands for what? Total. E stands for what? Excess. D stands for difference, and O stands for opposite. And now we are looking for, the question is looking for what? Big books. And since our answer will be opposite, what we assume here is supposed to be small books. And how do this works? Look at here. I have 36 big and small books. Okay, then I assume that all of them to be a small book. So 36 book, all small book. If all small book means that each will be what? 5 cm. So 36 times 5 is what? 36 times 5, that will give you 180. A, but the question says what? Each shelf without any gaps. There shouldn't be a gap because total is 240, right? 180 is what? All the books. It shouldn't be a gap. So I will use 240 minus 180. I notice that this gap actually have 60 cm. And why is there such gaps? Because impossible for all books to be small, right? Then I want to find one big book and one small book. What is their difference? Mine minus 5 is 4. Means that one big book and one small book, the difference in between their gap is 4 cm. And this 60 is actually resulted by this 4. So how many of these 4 means the unit difference will result in 60? And I'll just use 60 divided by 4. And I know the answer will be 50 cm. And, no, not 50 cm, 50 big books in this case, okay? And I am done for this question. Okay? Yeah, and we're done. As a very typical proportion concept, which can be solved using table, but most probably some of you will not able to guess that this is table, and probably you use the guess and check to solve it, okay? But some of you might be a bit wonder or question that, hey teacher, but there's two shelf there. What if I put too many books on top, big books on top? Then I have some gaps there, or at the bottom I have some gaps there. It doesn't really matter as long as you're able to put 36 books inside because you can always shift. The arrangement of the books inside, it doesn't really matter in this case. Okay, because it's not in a pattern. It's not in a pattern. That's why we can just calculate 120, 120, 240 as a whole. Then you just freely arrange it. Okay. Yes, that is basically our question for this set number H. I think compared to other questions in other different sets, this will be a bit more heavier because we have two big questions here. We have the paper 2 question 17 from MGS and Rosie here. Anyway, I hope you learned something from this set of questions, and I believe that by mastering these questions, it will definitely help you in your PSLE. Okay, I think that's all from me. Thank you. See you. Bye bye.